In 2020, people on Netflix watched the show Friends for an incredible 97 billion minutes. That same year, The Office racked up 58 billion minutes. Then, the clock ran out. Friends disappeared from Netflix in the US because its owner, Warner Media, paid $425 million to take it back. The Office left the next year, after NBC Universal paid about $500 million to put it on their own app, Peacock. At the same time, Netflix started cracking down on password sharing and raising its prices. The promise we all fell in love with, everything you could want, anytime you want, for one simple price, was breaking. The numbers show it was never built to last. To understand why this felt like such a betrayal, we need to go back to when Netflix was the hero that saved us from cable TV. No more late fees from Blockbuster. No more grainy recordings on your DVR. No more paying for a 200-channel bundle just to watch the 3 shows you actually liked. It started with their genius DVD by mail service. A huge selection for a flat price, and the movie you wanted just showed up in your mailbox. Streaming made that instant. One app, one fee, and no cable guy drilling holes in your wall. Here's the quiet truth that made Netflix so irresistible. The comfort shows you could watch over and over were the glue that held it all together. Having Friends looping in the background, putting on The Office while you ate dinner, watching Parks and Recreation, when your brain was fried after a long day. These shows were easy and predictable. You didn't need to choose something new. You just returned to what you already loved. This wasn't just about nostalgia, it was a business strategy. These shows kept people watching during the quiet months between big new releases, which meant fewer people canceled their subscriptions. And because the big studios still saw streaming as a small side business, Netflix was able to license these huge libraries of shows for prices that seemed high, but weren't big enough to make the studios worry. We thought we were getting a great deal. Endless entertainment for just $9.99 a month. It felt like we owned all of pop culture. In reality, we were just renting it from companies that hadn't yet decided to become Netflix's biggest competitors. Meanwhile, Netflix was building a powerful data machine. When you binged all of The West Wing in 2 weeks, they took note. If you watched sitcoms and true crime documentaries, your homepage would start showing you more of both. This personalization turned a giant, overwhelming warehouse of content into your own cozy living room. Crucially, it made it easier to just click play instead of endlessly scrolling. The more you watched, the better Netflix got at guessing what you wanted to see next. Their financial setup was genius, too. You paid them your subscription fee at the start of the month, but they didn't have to pay the studios for the shows until later. This meant they always had cash on hand from your money before their bills were due. Investors loved it. They bet that streaming would kill cable, and Netflix would become the new king. There's a little story from those early days that perfectly explains their mindset. A college student shares their Netflix password with 3 friends. After they graduate, they all move to different cities, but they keep using that same account for years. One person pays the bill, and the rest just watch. For Netflix, this problem was actually a form of free marketing. It was training 4 people to automatically open the Netflix app first whenever they wanted to watch something. When you're trying to build a global habit, that's priceless. But the rope that tied all of us so tightly to Netflix was made of someone else's thread. Friends belonged to Warner Media. The Office belonged to NBC Universal. Parks and Rec was also NBC Universal. The West Wing was Warner again. All of these rental agreements had end dates. While Netflix was turning our comfort watching into a worldwide addiction, the studios were waking up and asking a simple question. If this is the future of television, why are we renting our best stuff to the company that's teaching the world they don't need us anymore? So when you opened Netflix one day to rewatch a familiar episode and got that blunt message, this title is no longer available, it felt sudden. But the clock had been ticking for a long time. These shows were never Netflix's to keep. They were rentals with expiration dates, time bombs that were set years before the studios decided it was time to bring their toys home and start their own streaming services. What we didn't see were the bidding wars happening behind the scenes. To keep The Office, NBC Universal basically paid itself around $500 million to move the show to its own app, Peacock. Warner Media did similar math with Friends for its app, Max. These weren't just small programming decisions. They were the huge foundational moves needed to launch and stabilize their brand new platforms. This left Netflix with a brutal choice. It could pay ridiculously high fees for shows it would never actually own, or it could let those shows walk away and invest all that money in content it could control forever. They chose ownership. Rented comfort shows brought in predictable viewers, but they offered zero defense against competitors. Originals, at least, were assets that could never be yanked away when a contract expired. Netflix stopped trying to overpay for yesterday's hits and prepared to lose the glue that held its audience together. While this was happening, our behavior at home started to change. Service hopping became the new normal. You'd subscribe to a service to watch one specific show, then cancel and jump to another app the next month. The old habit of loyalty was replaced by a spreadsheet in your head. Which app has the thing I want to watch right now? The industry itself had trained us to be smart, rational customers. The ripple effects washed away what made Netflix special. In the old days, it was the default app. Open it, find a comfort show, and stay. With the library scattered, Netflix had to earn your attention every single night with something new and unmissable. The business shifted from keeping you calm to keeping you curious. Financially, backing away from those huge licensing deals seemed smart. Why spend $500 million to rent a show for 5 years when you could use that money to own something forever? But it created a new problem. It made the library feel unstable. Every month, the leaving soon row was a reminder that you didn't really own your habits. The more the library changed, the more your trust in the service did too. The studios weren't just taking their hits back, they were building their own empires. Disney Plus, Max, Peacock, and Paramount Plus all had their own deep libraries of familiar shows, plus brand new originals. This didn't just kill Netflix's access to shows. It killed what made Netflix different. When everyone offers comfort shows and exclusive hits, the new game becomes about who has the strongest brands. And Netflix didn't have decades of franchises like Marvel or Star Wars. This forced them to pivot from borrowing our favorite culture to trying to manufacture their own from scratch. House of Cards was the first proof they could do it. It wasn't just a hit. It showed Netflix could make something people would rearrange their nights to watch. Then came Orange is the New Black, Narcos, and the one that turned kids into evangelists and parents into subscribers, Stranger Things. These exclusive shows created urgency, the opposite of background comfort. You didn't just have it on, you had to see what happened next. That urgency makes people stick around, but it's incredibly expensive to create that magic at a massive scale. And here's where the cost of making TV starts to feel like gravity. Every hit show gets more expensive with each new season. The stars of Stranger Things deserved bigger paychecks. The special effects had to get bigger. It's like a treadmill that keeps getting faster. As every platform started chasing blockbuster shows, the price tag for keeping our attention just kept climbing. So Netflix hedged its bets by doing two things at once. It greenlit franchises it could own forever, like The Witcher and Wednesday. And it started making a huge volume of shows from all over the world. If rented comfort shows gave you predictable hours of viewing, a high volume of new shows gave you predictable moments of excitement. The release calendar itself became the product. Every single week, there had to be a new true crime series, a new Korean thriller, or a new reality dating show to keep you checking in. Going international completely changed the math. A show like Money Heist from Spain or Squid Game from Korea could become a global phenomenon. These shows had three huge advantages. They often cost much less to produce than big American shows. They offered fresh and creative stories, and they could be dubbed or subtitled for a global audience. A hit made in Seoul could keep people subscribed in São Paulo and Stockholm. Yet, the discovery problem never fully went away. As the library ballooned with thousands of new titles, the paradox of choice came back. Viewers started trusting the top 10 row and whatever was buzzing on social media more than Netflix's own recommendations. Netflix increasingly had to rely on outside momentum, from TikTok clips and Reddit threads, to get people to watch. Releasing a whole season at once became crucial. Take over the entire cultural conversation for a weekend, or risk being forgotten by Monday. Then came the crackdown on password sharing. It started as a joke. In the early years, Netflix literally tweeted, "Love is sharing a password," because it was training entire households to open their app first. But when growth in places like the US and Europe hit a wall and content costs kept climbing, that joke wasn't funny to them anymore. The same behavior that was once free marketing was now seen as a giant hole in their balance sheet. Here are the stakes. When most of the people who want your service already have it, the easiest way to make more money isn't finding new customers. It's charging the existing ones more, or charging more of the people using each account. Netflix reframed sharing as out-of-household usage, built technology to detect it, and started charging a fee for extra members. The message changed from a romantic gesture to a set of rules. The action rolled out in steps. First, they used things like your IP address and device ID to figure out if someone was constantly logging in from a different location. Then, those users would hit a wall, and the account holder would be asked to either verify their location or pay to add an extra member. This turned what used to be a gray area into a new line item on your bill. Meanwhile, the ad-supported plan arrived. For some, this softened the blow. If you couldn't share anymore, at least there was a cheaper way to have your own account, as long as you didn't mind commercials. For Netflix, the math was simple. Ads could actually make them more money per user, even at a lower subscription price, especially when they could charge a lot to put commercials in their biggest hit shows. In the short term, it worked. Their revenue went up, and they reported a surge of new subscribers after the crackdown. But there was a long-term risk hiding under the surface. It chipped away at the goodwill they had built for years. It led to people canceling for longer periods of time between big releases. Netflix won the battle for the invoice, but they lost some of the automatic reflex they had worked so hard to build. While the crackdown tightened accounts, another meter started clicking: the price. In the early days, price hikes usually came with obvious upgrades, better streaming quality, or a bigger library. Now the basic plans started to disappear. If you wanted to watch in 4K on multiple TVs, what used to feel standard, you now had to pay for the most expensive tier. This is where we all encountered the cable paradox. We left cable to get away from complicated bundles and high fees. But now, to follow your favorite shows, you often need 4 to 6 different apps in a single year. You weren't paying for TV anymore, you were paying for scattered pieces of it. When you add up all the ad tiers, the 4K upgrades, and the different monthly fees, the total starts to feel a lot like cable, just without the channel numbers. While this was happening at Netflix, the rest of the industry copied the exact same moves. Prices went up everywhere. 4K became a premium perk. Ad tiers popped up on every app. Everyone had originals, old comfort shows, and an ad-supported option. If all the products feel similar and all the prices start to look the same, your decision collapses to one question: who has the one thing I absolutely can't miss this month? This is where bundling crept back in. Your cell phone company started offering packages with a few streamers at a discount. You'd get a few free months of a service when you bought a new TV. It wasn't the old cable bundle, but it rhymed. The irony was hard to miss. We all escaped cable only to end up with a collection of mini cables we have to manage ourselves. While rivals fought over yesterday's hits, Netflix aimed for moments you had to watch live. The Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight was a huge test. It proved there was massive demand for live events, even if it exposed some technical glitches. Then came a live tennis match, NFL games on Christmas Day, and the biggest move of all: a multi-billion-dollar deal for WWE Raw. Wrestling isn't just a show, it's a weekly ritual. Every Monday night is a reason to open the app. That's the kind of reliable habit that comfort reruns used to create. Only this time, Netflix owns the rights exclusively. At the same time, Netflix pushed into games, not to compete with Xbox, but to keep you inside their app. The goal is to make Netflix the default thing you open when you have 15 spare minutes. Every minute you spend playing a game in their app is a minute you aren't thinking about canceling your subscription. But there's a cost to all this. Live sports rights are incredibly expensive, and if the stream buffers during a big game, people get angry fast. The danger is that Netflix could end up recreating the same expensive business model as cable TV, but with all the frustrations of internet technology. The original promise of Netflix didn't collapse because the company became evil. It collapsed under the weight of competition and the incredible cost of content. A single, cheap subscription could never carry that load forever. What we have now is a new, more honest reality. A few essential services we pay for, supported by ads, and occasional splurges for the shows or events we just can't miss. The simple dream is over, replaced by a complicated menu of choices.